Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Marcus Daniels, and I am going to be hosting our How to Get Started in Commercial Real Estate session for today. Thank you all for joining and taking time out of your weekend to learn a little bit more about commercial real estate and how to get started in commercial real estate. For those who are joining us on the Zoom or Instagram Live, feel free to take notes. Feel free to take the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. We'll take some time at the end of this session for Q&A, and feel free to use the chat box as well to be able to leave any questions or comments that you may have. You don't have to turn your cameras on for this session. So just feel free to sit back, relax. And for those who did sign up, the session is recorded. So if you do need to go back and watch anything, just feel free to do that after the call. And we'll set up some time for folks who are interested in one-on-one call, just to learn a little bit more about goals and objectives in the business, what you're seeking to accomplish in commercial real estate, and how I can help you get to where you want to be. So let's go ahead and get started. I know we have some folks that will probably be joining us throughout the session. The session will go for a little under 2 hours. We will again leave some time at the end for Q&A and for folks to connect as well. So I'm Marcus Daniels. I'm a commercial real estate broker, real estate investor, and professor of real estate. I've been in the commercial real estate business now for over 10 years and have had the pleasure of selling over $100 million worth of commercial real estate and being a part of over 1 million square feet of development and or acquisitions throughout the Washington, D.C. region as well as across the country. I am a adjunct professor of real estate at Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where I teach in the Master's in Real Estate program, teach a class on commercial real estate investment and development. And currently, this semester, I have 15 graduate students that I am teaching. So, what I would like to do is just kind of outline quickly what we'll cover today. So, for about the first hour, we will go through understanding commercial real estate investing and ownership, and then for our second hour, we'll talk about breaking into commercial real estate brokerage as a tool for you to jumpstart your commercial real estate investing and development journey as well. So just a few quick housekeeping rules. You don't have to turn your camera on. Feel free to keep your mic on mute. If you do have a question, just put it in the chat box or feel free to um, just comment if you're on Instagram. And then we will take the last probably 15 to 20 minutes for questions and answers. For those who are um, not able to stay the whole time, the session will be recorded. So you can go back, take some time to catch up on anything you may have missed. But without further ado, we'll just go ahead and get started. Try to cover as much as possible. Obviously, in a 2 hour session, we won't get through everything. But what I wanted to do was, again, just provide free game, free information to those who are interested in commercial real estate. When I first started in the commercial real estate business 10 years ago, I didn't know really anything about commercial real estate. I had a few friends who had worked in commercial real estate, whether on the brokerage side, investment side, property management, or development. But I really didn't have a unique understanding of how the industry works and then what opportunities were available to me. And so when I had the chance to get started in the business, I wanted to make sure that I took the opportunity to teach and give back to folks who are interested in getting started in a business. So I really enjoy doing this. I am um, happy to mentor and help in any way that I can, because that was super helpful for me getting started in the real estate business. I have been just super blessed and fortunate to be in this commercial real estate industry, and it's My success is in large part to having mentors and having people who've poured into me over the years. So really excited to share it with you all today. So commercial real estate, again, it's one of the best ways to create generational wealth, not only in this country but across the world. It is a wealth building strategy that has been proven over and over again over the decades that have passed by. You've seen tremendous wealth be created through the ownership, development, as well as the sale, and leasing, and deal making of commercial real estate. And so, as we start this journey today, it's just really important to understand like why are you interested in getting started in commercial real estate? Like, what is your purpose? For me personally, when I first started in the business, it was it was a purpose that was driven around building communities and using my God-given abilities to be able to make a difference in the communities that I grew up in and that I care about. And from that, it's been a lot of opportunities working with different clients and different partners to be able to make that positive impact. On top of making that impact in the commercial real estate business, having the ability to be able to make good money and to be able to create generational wealth and provide for your family. So again, commercial real estate is, in my opinion, it's the best way. There are a lot of different ways: entrepreneurship, investing, you know, looking at different industries. But real estate, from an investment perspective, is always one of those vehicles that you hear people talk about. But a lot of people just don't know how to enter the industry or how they can create generational wealth. So that's what we'll be talking about today. So commercial real estate is any property that's used for business purposes or that generates income from the property. So when you think of commercial real estate, you'll think of multifamily apartments, you'll think of hotels, you'll think of retail shopping centers, strip centers, um, retail town centers, industrial warehouses, flex office buildings, medical office buildings. Um, you'll look at specialty properties such as mixed-use developments, churches, schools, daycare centers. Could go on and on, but it's really any property that's used for business purposes or that can be used to generate a profit. So when you think about commercial real estate in the neighborhoods and communities where you live, work, and play, like just take a look around and kind of start to consider how much commercial real estate is around you and who owns it, how does it operate, what are the values, how much are they renting for, why are those particular tenants or users in those particular buildings. When you look at multifamily apartments or hotels, start to imagine like, okay, well, if I was to um, invest in or buy this asset, how would I manage it? What would be the experience that I would create for my tenants? And so those are just a few things to consider. But again, commercial real estate is any property that's used for business purposes or to create that creates income. Okay, and so there are a lot of different ways to make money in commercial real estate. As a Again, in this first hour, we're talking about commercial real estate investing and ownership. And then the next hour, we'll talk about breaking into commercial real estate brokerage. And so, several of the ways to make money in commercial real estate involve, buying an asset um, as an investor, leasing that asset to tenants in the market that you will execute lease agreements with those tenants. And that could be on a short term basis. It could be on a longer term basis. Short term being anything from a year or less. More longer term could be 3 years to 10 or 15 years or longer. So the rental income that you get from the tenants that are leasing your real estate are going to help to cover the debt service for the asset. It's going to help to be able to cover all of the operating expenses of the asset. And as the owner and investor, you're able to benefit from the cash flow that's generated and the upside and appreciation. So property values historically have increased over time, particularly for commercial real estate that's located in um, good areas that have strong demographics. So, good employment, a good median household incomes, looking at the, key industries in that particular market and understanding, what are the demand drivers in that market and what are supply drivers in that market as well. So from the investor's perspective, you're looking for opportunities to invest in real estate assets that are located in, either strong, like tried and true proven markets, or in markets that are more opportunistic, where you think that there's an upside for appreciation and growth in those markets. And so, some of the strategies that investors will use in commercial real estate include using other people's money, OPM. If you're in a real estate business, you probably have heard this term before. But again, using the power of leverage and debt and equity to be able to finance the acquisition of these commercial properties. In addition to that, looking at value add strategies that are available to you as an investor to be able to get the most bang for your buck and return on your investment. And so whether that's buying a small retail office building that's been vacant for 4 years or 5 years, and you're going to, seek to bring it back to life and make renovations and put the building in a position where it's attractive to a prospective tenant to want to lease that building from you, and then repositioning the asset and leasing up the building and put it in a posture where the asset is performing well and it's covering all of your expenses as well as making you a profit. So again, when you think about commercial real estate, there are a lot of different property types, and then there are different deal structures that one can use as well to suit the goals and objectives of that particular property. And so one of the ways to make money in commercial real estate, and this is definitely the case for like retail properties as well as some office and industrial properties. If you haven't heard of the triple net lease, the triple net lease is a passive income model, a lease structure that allows for you as the owner of the commercial property to be able to have the tenant pay the base rent and then all operating expenses related to the property. So the utility bills, gas, water, electric, et cetera. Looking at the common area maintenance costs. So, snow removal, landscaping, trash removal, those some of those things don't really think about, like pest control, things of that nature, right? And then also the taxes and the insurance for the property. So triple net leases are always very attractive for investors to pursue or to execute because it's a lease structure that allows for you as the owner to pass through all the costs to the tenant. And so one of the things that is important to understand is like what are the roles and responsibilities of you as a landlord? What are the roles and responsibilities of the tenant? Okay, and so for in this case in a triple net lease for a landlord, it is important to understand that you have um, a responsibility to take care of the roof, to take care of the structure, to make sure that everything below the surface or the parking lot under the building is in good and working order. And so again, just everything related to the structure, the roof, and then infrastructure that services the property below ground and then above ground as well. So that's really important to understand. And again, triple net leases are not the only lease structures, but very common lease structure in commercial real estate and one of the most attractive ways to make money in commercial real estate. And as a part of being a commercial real estate investor, it's important to understand like how do you determine cash flow and how do you understand what cash flow is and then also understand the cap rates and how that all fits within the value of a property and understanding what is the estimated return on my investment that I'm going to be making. So for those who are here on Zoom, it's just a few quick formulas here that I posted. I'll just read through several of these. Again, for those who are familiar with these terms and you've done these calculations, great. For a lot of new beginners that are here today, this may be new to you, but again, just continue um, to learn and build your skill sets by just doing different calculations, going through different deals. Okay, so the first formula related to cash flow and cap rates are the following. We're going to talk about the net operating income formula. We'll talk about the cap rate calculation, and then we'll just talk about key metrics related to cash flow and cap rates. Okay, so cap rate or a capitalization rate is the annual return on that investment as a income producing property. So as an example, if I'm a landlord and I have a property I'm leasing out, let's say to CVS pharmacy, and they are paying me, let's just say $10,000 a month, all in for the rent and the expenses. But times 12 months, that would be $120,000. That is the income that is generated from the property, and then it relates to the expenses of it. That's all rolled into that number. That would be the net operating income for the property. Okay, so one of the things to keep in mind is the net operating income has a direct correlation to the value of a commercial property, particularly if you are going to be selling a property with tenants in place, or you're looking to buy a property with tenants in place. So from my perspective, I'm always looking at properties in a particular market and seeking to understand how does that property operate, what are the strengths of the property, what are the weaknesses, how many tenants are there, how long are their leases, how are they performing, understanding their business models and how it all fits together, right? And so again, the net operating income formula is your income less your expenses, and that will give you your net operating income, which is also the profit, right? But in commercial real estate terms, it's known as the net operating income. For understanding cap rates, again, a cap rate essentially is um, the value of the annual return on that asset, and that's again based off of um, the net operating income divided by the purchase price for the property. So if you're buying an existing investment property that already has tenants in place and is leased, the value of that property is going to be tied to how much money that property is making on an annual basis, but then it's also going to be tied to what is the market cap rate. And so the cap rate, again, it could be 5%, it could be 7%, 9%, 10%. It doesn't matter. It's not a fixed number across the board. Cap rates are different in every market, every city, every neighborhood and submarket. So it's important to be able to understand each market and then the submarket that is a microcosm of the larger market. And you can identify what the cap rates are in each market by doing research online, looking at industry reports from commercial real estate firms, CoStar, LoopNet, Crexi, Showcase are several commercial real estate platforms and websites that allow for you to be able to look at market information, research, and analytics. So that's very important. Some of the key metrics that I'll just briefly touch on that are important to look at are cash on cash return. Cash on cash return being how much money am I investing on the front end of this deal? Upon my exit or disposition of the asset, what will be the net proceeds from the sale or and disposition of that asset, and then what is my return basis after that? So again, the calculation is your net proceeds from the sale of the asset divided by your initial cash infusion into the deal, right? And so, if I've put in $100,000, and by the time we sell the asset, we're pulling out $400,000 in net proceeds. I 4x my money, or the equity multiple will be 4x cash on cash return. So that's very important. Looking at the internal rate of return. So again, over a prolonged period of time, just understanding what is the return on the investment on an annual basis. How does that fit within the business model that you have for this particular property, and looking at how is the property making money and generating income. So we just talked about the equity multiple and the correlation with cash on cash return. But again, it's really important to start to understand some of these key concepts, and then looking at how you can implement these concepts to be able to do more business. Okay. So let's just take a moment to talk about sourcing deals. I think really for most people, like that's one of the big questions or perceived hurdles in the business. Like, how do you find deals? Like, how do you put together a um, a list of properties that fit your investment criteria and that could work for what you're looking to accomplish? So again, you have on market deals, you have off market deals as well. And I think it's important to look at both. Like you can have relationships with commercial real estate agents, you can have relationships with wholesalers, owners, but it's really important to not limit yourself. So you're constantly looking for on market deals and off market deals. And so to find off market properties, what you want to do is utilize all the public information that's available to you. Every city, county, state or commonwealth has public records databases where you can look up property information. You can look up the owner's contact name, their address. In some cases, the um, they'll even have the last time the property was sold, how big the property is, the zoning for the property. So all those things are really important to look at when you're considering off market deals. Typically, what I do, just kind of as a quick tip, I'll make a list of all of the off market properties in a particular neighborhood that I'm interested in investing in, right? And then reach out to the owners first with a phone call and see if that number works. If I get them on the phone, if I'm unsuccessful, I'll send them a letter and then make a follow up phone call as well, and just continue to reach out and even utilize social media or utilizing relationships that I have in my own network to try to see if there's someone who may know the owner of that particular property. So those things are really important to consider. For on-market deals, again, you can look on LoopNet, Prexy, CoStar, or other commercial real estate websites as well to find those off-market, to find the on-market deals. You can set up alerts on your account so that every time a property that fits your criteria, you get an email, be notified about it, call the brokers, and get information immediately. So again, look at on-market deals, look at off-market deals. Look at both. Don't just limit yourself to one or the other. I am really a proponent of leaving no stone unturned. In the next hour on the commercial real estate brokerage side, we'll talk about how to um, present yourself as a commercial real estate broker to sell commercial real estate, and then also to represent buyers of commercial real estate as well. So again, the direct to seller outreach is a mix of cold calls, sending out letters, sending out postcards, networking, using the power of your referral network. And so one of the first things I did when I started in commercial real estate is I made a list all of the people I knew in the real estate business and every business owner and every investor that I knew. And the list wasn't that long when I first started. There were it's probably maybe like 10 to 15 people in total that I had on the list. But every week I would add to the list as I was going to networking events, as I was going to meetings, attending um, um, community-based events and business conferences, and just any opportunity to get in front of prospective tenants, buyers, sellers, investors, and developers. I was just out and involved. So again, my rule of thumb is that you want to go through your phone, go to contacts, and go from A to Z. Make a list of all the folks that you know in business, invest in real estate, or have a desire to own real estate. And the second thing is make a list, and particularly if you are focused in investing in a particular area, like make a list of at least um, 200 to 300 owners that you want to reach out to and build relationships with. So relationship business, and even if that owner is not looking to sell their property right now, um, there may be opportunities to work with them in the future and help them. There have been several times where I reached out to owners. They say, I'm not interested in selling, or I'm not interested in entertaining an offer from you, but I love to keep up with you. I love to, create a relationship. And then years later, we end up doing a deal together. So that's just something to keep in mind and to consider. So we'll talk about analyzing deals. Again, this is very high level. As a part of our commercial real estate mentorship program, we get deep into like how do you find deals, how do you structure deals, how do you underwrite deals, and so high level, what we're going to talk about is just analyzing deals and the things to look for. Okay, and so whether you're looking at investing where you live or where you grew up, or you're looking at investing outside of where you live or grew up, it's important to understand what are those key dynamics that make that market special, right? Like, what are the location and market conditions that make that community or neighborhood attractive? Is it a high employment area? Is it proposed redevelopment coming to the area? Are there good features of the area, like good schools, good public safety, transportation infrastructure? All of those things are important when you're looking at location conditions. And then also, I would say the market conditions, right? Like looking at like what is the demand for the type of commercial real estate property that you are buying, right? And so when you look at, as an example, multifamily apartments, right? Like certain cities and areas across the country, we know that it doesn't matter how many people are there. If you build the apartments, and if they're priced right, they're going to lease. In some cases, we've seen, the overbuilding of multifamily apartments, and unfortunately, when that happens and the rents are too high, eventually the market will respond because the units are sitting for too long, and then the rents are going to have to come down. But we've over the past several years have had a historic run on the rent increases because multifamily is one of the best asset classes as an investor, is people always need somewhere to live. So you can remember during the pandemic, there were malls that were closed. No, everybody's working from home. A lot of like sporting events and entertainment venues weren't at full capacity. So, but multifamily was the best property type to invest in because people needed to have housing and security. So that was very much the case, and I think it still is the case. So you're looking at market conditions. That is just something to keep in mind. Next, looking at tenant stability and lease terms. Again, for multifamily tenants, typically those leases, are up to a year. In some cases, they could be a year and a half, 2 years. For office, retail, industrial, and other commercial tenants, the leases typically will range from 3 to 10 years. In some cases, on short-term leases, it's 1 to 2 years, and then the longer-term leases, it could be 15 or more years, right? But every deal is different. It's important to also look at the property details and analyzing all the public information that's available on the property. And so when you're looking at a property that you may drive by, you say, "Oh, wow, oh, I wonder what I could do with that property." Not looking at it for what it is now, but thinking about what it could be, right? And one of the first things that you should do is look at what is the zoning, what are the uses that could go in that property by right or through a special use permit or some type of rezoning to be able to have that particular use. What is the development potential? If this property was to be torn down, what else could I build on the property, or what other uses can I get in the property? So looking at zoning and then looking at the development potential of a property is very important. And that, as an investor, like that doesn't it doesn't matter if it's a residential property or commercial property. Like understanding the zoning and then what the development potential is, because that's going to be a direct correlation to what your investment strategy is and then how much money you can make from the asset. Finally, it's important to look at market data. So again, comparable sales of similar properties that have sold over the past 12 to 24 months. In some cases, in markets where there are not a lot of sales, you want to look at sales over the past 2 to 3 years, and then understand what are the unique characteristics of the sales of those properties. And so, as an example, how I look at a property that's on a market that's vacant is a lot different than how I look at a property on a market that's fully leased as an investment property, right? So it's just really important to understand different like valuation techniques. We talked about a couple earlier. Again, for vacant commercial real estate that is for sale, you are going to use the sales comparable approach. And again, that's looking at the sales of similar vacant commercial properties that have sold over the past year to 2 years. And then for income producing properties that have tenants, you want to look at the cap rates at what those properties sold for, and then what are the unique characteristics of those properties? Is it one tenant or multiple tenants? How long are the lease terms? What is the lease structures, et cetera? So again, we won't dive like too deep in this because literally I teach as a professor at Thomas Jefferson University. We spent a whole semester going through all of this. For those who are interested, I offer commercial real estate mentorship program where we dive into these different concepts and really prepare you with the tools and skills that you need to be successful as a commercial real estate investor and or broker as well. Okay, so next we'll just talk high level about underwriting a deal. And so it's important again, is we looked at um, we looked at, how do you determine what the value is of a property and get to the net operating income, particularly if you're buying an investment property, right? Like, so you have to determine all your income, you have to determine all of your expenses, and then make sure that you're getting accurate information from the owner or for the real estate agent. Oftentimes, it's um, provided to a prospective buyer. But because the information is sensitive, sometimes you have to sign a confidentiality agreement or non-disclosure agreement so that you're not going to share the information with the world, right? Because some of those tenants, they don't want their business to get out there, and then the owners, in some cases, they don't want the business to get out there as well. So again, when you're looking at a investment property, looking at all the income that's being generated from the property. So, as an example, it could be the rental income from the units. It could be a additional rent from like pet fees, from the renting of, let's say, like a party room as one of the amenities, or from additional like parking revenue as an example. And then the expenses are pretty self-explanatory: utilities, taxes, insurance, and other ancillary expenses related to the upkeep of the property. Okay, and so it's important to understand that, and it's important to get that accurate information from the owner. There are a number of different financing options that are available to you as a commercial real estate investor. I'll just mention a couple that most of the investors that are active in the market use. So again, you have conventional financing where you buy a property, getting a debt from a lender to be able to buy a property on a 15, 20, 30-year term for our property. So again, to be able to leverage other people's money and utilize the debt from the lender, so you're not putting all your cash up front into that deal and having essentially a lot of exposure in that deal. It's a good option, right? The other side of that is, obviously, if you're getting debt, you're getting financing, you're going to have to, make those payments and make sure that you are covering your debt service and fulfilling your obligations, right? And so the cost of capital is going to be a little higher, as opposed to just, using 100% cash to buy a property. But again, in terms of the leverage aspect and benefits of using leverage in commercial real estate, is very attractive, because you are going to be able to get a larger return on your investment, particularly if you are working with a group of investors or in a partnership. So that is something to keep in mind. Seller financing or owner financing is another option as well. We've seen over the past decade a lot of baby boomers, a lot of families who've owned commercial real estate for decades, or businesses that own commercial real estate, essentially look to exit, right, and look to retire and close down their business, or maybe a family member isn't taking over the business, right? So when you think about seller and owner financing, like, that's a great option, particularly in high interest rate environments like we're in now, where you can, benefit from the fact that the owner has equity in the property, or they have, pay the property off, and they can hold the note and provide you with attractive finance options. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, it's a couple of exit strategies that I'm sure you all have heard about or are familiar with. You have the flip, which is an exit strategy. You have holding, which is an exit strategy, and then a refinance. And so each one of these strategies, with each one of these strategies, you can make money. It just depends on your investment goals and objectives, and then your risk profile. Flipping in commercial real estate is a great way to make money quickly. It can be a little bit more challenging and difficult than flipping houses, because of the kind of the complexity of commercial real estate. So as you're looking at, buying a property, fixing it up, and then putting it back on the market to be sold, you have to feel confident that, one, the amount of money that you're putting into the asset is going to correlate to that anticipated value that you think you're going to get for the property. So from my perspective, it's really important to be able to underwrite deals and look at, like, okay, what is the value of the property? What are the comps saying? How much rent can we get for this property? What's our tenant profile? How many tenants are out in the market? Like, what's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? So all those things are really important, particularly when you're looking at flipping commercial real estate or wholesaling commercial real estate, right? So that's very important. The whole strategy, again, for most of the investors that are looking to um, like maximize the appreciation of the asset and the benefit of that appreciation, they're going to have a whole strategy, and that whole strategy could be anywhere from 3 to 5 years, if not longer. But that is a strategy that allows for you as an investor to be able to maximize the benefit of the appreciation of the asset. And then finally, the refinance exit strategy, where you are buying a property, you're making improvements to the property, lease the property out, you're able to refinance your loan and pull off some money so that you can buy another property. So again, the method is commonly referred to in commercial real estate: buy, rehab, refinance, and repeat. So think about what exit strategy works best for you. Everyone's different, but each one of these can be executed in helping you to build generational wealth. And so some of the financing options that are available, we won't go into great detail about each one of them, but just very, very quickly, SBA 504 and 7A loans are very good for business owners and entrepreneurs that are looking at buying commercial real estate for their business. So again, that's the SBA 504 and 7A loan program. In every city and every county, there are business development centers, small business development centers that are run by the SBA, as well as from the county and or state where you live. So think about that and use those free resources to help you get financing for your property. And also, think about, and we're going to be talking about commercial real estate brokerage in the next 10 to 15 minutes. It's like these are the same financing options that your clients are going to be able to use as well to make deals happen. So keep that in mind. Of course, you have traditional commercial real estate loans. We just talked about seller financing, joint ventures, and then also you have private money and syndication as well. So private money lenders are attractive because in the event that maybe you don't have the best credit, or maybe you don't have check off all the boxes needed from a traditional lender, private money lenders give you the ability to be able to get the financing, but it's at a higher cost of capital, a higher interest rate. So that's just something to keep in mind, like, as you're considering the pros and cons of each one of these financing options. And then also syndication being one as well, where you can leverage the pooling of investment dollars from a number of people to be able to fulfill the debt and equity requirements for the acquisition of that property. So again, different financing options: SBA 504, 7A loans for owner operators, business owners, your traditional commercial loans, your seller financing and joint ventures, and then private money and syndication as well. So for for every like first time investor, the question becomes like, how can I get started? How can I raise capital as a new investor, right? And so it's a combination of using your personal funds, or partnering with investors, or crowdfunding and syndicating a deal, right? And so when we talk about using your personal funds, that could be from, saving money up for a down payment. It could be doing executing a home equity line of credit to be able to pull some money out from equity of your home to be able to have the equity needed to buy the commercial property. It could be that you are partnering with family or friends or business associates as investors to be able to pull your money together to buy a property. So maybe you need $100,000 for a down payment for the property, but you only have 25. All right, well, let's see if you can find three more people with 25, or see if you can find um, a couple of people with 10,000 or 15,000, right? So really considering those different options is really important. Just not limiting yourself and feeling like, man, I don't have all the money myself. Like I'm, I'm pretty much stuck, right? That's not the case. You can as long as you have a good deal and you can communicate to prospective investor like why it's a good deal and tell the story of the deal, that is going to allow for you to be able to get people interested in investing with you. And then again, as I've talked about, like having a mentor and having the ability to build your track record is very important as well, particularly when you're dealing with investors. Technology has played a big part in how we can make investing easier for people, particularly in real estate investing, both on residential and commercial real estate side. So crowdfunding platforms like Fundrise and others have really made it a lot more accessible and easy for people to invest and raise capital for their acquisitions and projects. And so, again, if you're just getting started, you don't need all the money in the world. Like it's not the end of the world if you don't have all the money. Consider using some of these strategies to raise capital as a beginner so you can execute your plan. So the process of closing a commercial real estate transaction typically involves a number of like key steps. Okay. And so I just want to take some time to kind of run through this process of closing a deal. So we identify our property, we get all the information from the owner or the real estate agent on our property. We underwrite the transaction. We do our initial due diligence, right, to see if this property meets our goals and objectives. Once we go through that initial process in terms of looking at the market research, looking at sales comps, touring the property, looking at the tenants that are in that property, if there are any, understanding what are the capital improvements that have been made at the property over the past 5 years. What is the condition of the roof? What's the condition of the HVAC? I could go on and on. There's so many things. And as a part of, for those who join this session, like I have a due diligence checklist I can share with you all, a bunch of free content and free information I have on my platform. And then as a part of the mentorship program, you get access to um, uh, lease structures, deal structures, forms, checklists, etc. And so it's very important to understand that once you go through that initial due diligence and you figure out like, all right, this is really the estimated fair market value of the property. This is the most that I can pay for the property. Then you want to kind of, think about, okay, from a negotiation perspective, I don't want to make the first offer my best offer unless it's a very competitive process and it's just, maybe there's a deadline for offers and you only got one shot. But typically, if it's it's a normal process, you want to make sure that your first offer is not your best and final offer. Give yourself some room for negotiation. See maybe if that owner or seller would be willing to take less. Happens all the time. People price their properties on the market. They think that they're going to get one number, that number potentially, but in the back of their mind, they're like, I know at a minimum, I'll take this number, right? So it's just really important to consider that. So you take all of that information, and then the goal is to craft a letter of intent. And a letter of intent is a non-binding proposal that outlines the basic terms and conditions of a commercial real estate transaction. And so it will have the following information. It'll have the property address, the buyer's name and contact information, the seller's name and contact information, some high-level details about the property. This is how big the building is. This sits on this many acres. This is the parcel number or the tax ID number. This is um, the zoning of the property, and then also looking at including the purchase price that you're offering. What is the deposit that you're going to be offering? How long of a study period do you need to be able to do your due diligence? And then what is the time after the waiver or expiration of that study period that you will need to prepare to go to closing? In addition to that, who is the title company going to be? If that is not decided at that particular point, do you want reserve the right as the buyer to choose the title company, or are you open to the seller choosing that title company? In addition, there are other contingencies that can be included in that letter of intent. And so there's just a number of things that are important to include in that non-binding letter of intent. So it outlines the basic terms and conditions of the transaction. In addition to that, it will outline any details related to commissions, right to representation, to again, any contingencies or any terms of the transactions that are important to outline in the initial process. And so once that letter of intent is drafted, you could draft the letter of intent yourself, or you can have your real estate agent draft the letter of intent. But once that's drafted and you put that down on paper, it's important to send the letter of intent to the owner. And then I always like to include like a cover letter with the letter of intent. So the cover letter can just be one page. Hey, this is who I am. This is my company. This is our track record. This is our investment strategy. Kindly please review the attached letter of intent. These are the things that we would like to offer you, and then make yourself available to meet with them in person or over the phone to go through the letter of intent. And so let's assume that that letter of intent is accepted and it is agreed upon. Okay. Once that happens between a buyer and a seller, the next step in that process is going to be for the drafting and negotiating of a contract. Okay. And I am not an attorney and I don't want to play one on TV. You got to have a real estate attorney involved when you're doing real estate transactions. And that's whether as an investor, as a developer, as a broker. It's very important to have real estate attorneys guide you through the process. So drafting contracts is very important. Helping to negotiate your contracts is very important as well. And negotiating the terms and conditions at a very detailed level, because the letter of intent is just high level details, but it's not going to get into every provision and every scenario of this particular transaction in the process. So it's just important to understand that and then leverage other people in the business that have the talent and skill sets to help you be successful. Okay. So the real estate attorney, you hit them up. I need you to draft this contract based off this letter of intent that we have agreed upon. And then once that contract is drafted, the contract is then sent to the seller, and then the seller will review it, and they will more than likely have legal counsel review it. And then at that point, it's a dance, right? You're going back and forth between an attorney and you and the seller, and you're working through this contract. You may have to redline the contract 4 or 5 times before you get to that final version. Over my 10 years in this business and selling over $200 million worth of commercial real estate, it doesn't matter if the deal is $1 million or if the deal is $25 million. There's always going to be a negotiation with a contract. So don't get discouraged if a contract negotiation takes weeks. In some cases, they could take months. I'm working on a $7 million deal right now. We've been negotiating a contract for 2 months, but that's not uncommon. It's not uncommon at all. So again, looking at how can you have the right team around you to help inform your decisions. And so that's not just attorneys. It could be consultants. It could be engineers. It could be architects. It could be contractors, et cetera, that are giving you additional information to help you understand deal structuring, how to negotiate the best deal. Finally, the closing costs and legal considerations are very important to keep in mind. When you are the buyer of a commercial property, you want to try to maintain as much control as possible. Me personally, I want to pick the title company. I want to pick the who's holding the deposit. I want to give myself flexibility as it relates to if I need to have any extensions. I want that to be baked into the transaction from the beginning and not have to go back and ask for an extension if I need more time. And so those as an example is really important. Closing costs as well. So having a title settlement company provide you with the title report, provide you with the estimated closing costs, provide you with a draft HUD-1 settlement statement, and just understanding like, okay, what is um, the credits and debits related to this transaction. So again, that's just a high level overview of the process of closing the deal. I see we're at 12 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is just take a couple of questions here in the chat, and then we're going to continue along and then transition into commercial real estate brokerage. So real quick here, let me just take a couple here. So, okay, so first question is, do you have a guide you offer for a letter of intent? Yes, again, so part of my mentorship program, I have templates for letter of intents, contracts, due diligence checklists, marketing plans, business development plans, listing performance reports, pretty much everything you need as an investor and or uh, commercial real estate broker. So I'm happy to talk to you more about that. And then I think it was another question related to, let's see here, how do you join the mentorship program? So again, for those who signed up from my Instagram, you can just click the link in my bio, and then it's going to say commercial real estate a mentorship program. On that website, you'll see all the information related to the program. We have different levels for different people who are whether you're beginner or intermediate or advanced, depending on how much experience you have. We do customize the programs to each student's needs, and then also making sure that we're being very thoughtful as it relates to how much attention and time you need. So for the mentorship program, we have monthly sessions, we have biweekly sessions, we have most of my mentees are doing weekly or biweekly sessions, but in some cases, folks are doing monthly. And literally, we take an hour to an hour and a half each week and just go through all of the modules that you need to be able to build your skill sets. We have an online course that's a supplement to the one-on-one coaching that is done with myself and my team. And again, it's for me, when I first started in the business, my daddy wasn't in the business, my mama wasn't in the business. I didn't know anybody in my family that did commercial real estate. I knew a few of my cousins that sold residential real estate, but it was critically important for me to get a mentor, and I did. I started in the business. I got a mentor at the time. My mentor was 73 years old, and he's still mentoring me even to this day. He's 83 now, and he's still teaching me stuff. Right. So where you want to go, build relationships with people who are doing it, and make yourself available to learn and to be a sponge. Made a big difference in my career. So thank you guys for those questions. We're going to continue along so we can cover as much as we can before we get to 1 o'clock. Again, feel free to put your questions in the chat if you have any. And if you need to leave, just feel free to come back and watch this video. I will post it on my Instagram, and then also it's going to be posted on YouTube as well. And I'll send a link to those on Zoom. Okay, so the key takeaways before we transition in this next hour are talking about commercial real estate brokerage and how brokerage is a great way for you to get started in commercial real estate to begin buying properties and then, investing in properties and developing properties. Brokerage is a great way. This is how I started. It's not the only way you can start, but I'll tell you, like for me personally, I feel like it's a great way to start. Okay, so the key takeaways for the commercial real estate investing segment of this session is one, it's okay to start small. Okay, so whether that's like a multi-family, anywhere from like 5 to 20 units, or a small office building, a retail or warehouse building. Start small and work your way up. Build your track record, build your experience, and from there you're going to be successful. Build your network. Network with real estate professionals, whether it's attorneys, engineers, architects, real estate agents, investors, um, business owners, entrepreneurs, consultants. Build a vast network. Use the power of social media. Go to at least one networking event a week. Like if you don't like to go out and you know be out there and be proactive and mixing and mingling with people, like get out your comfort zone, like get uncomfortable. Like you have to get out and meet people. This is a relationship business, and use social media, use technology as well. So make a list of 50 to 100 people that you would like to connect with in your area and tell them what you're looking to accomplish and how you all can work together. I also find that building relationships with financial advisors and asset managers has been helpful, particularly like building relationships with higher net worth individuals, as well as business owners as well. So just keep that in mind. As an investor, don't forget to like focus on the cash flow of the asset. Like just don't focus on the appreciation. So really get into the weeds of like understanding how the property makes money, and then make sure that you are maintaining the cash flow or growing the cash flow on an annual basis. Like make sure you are growing that NOI, and that is going to have a direct correlation to the value of the property in the future. And then finally, like just take action, like and don't get in your own way. It's okay to take your time, right? Like I looked at so many deals before I decided to buy my first one. Like I had to take time to really make sure that what I'm buying makes sense and it fit my investment strategy. So you're going to look at a lot of deals. You're going to go through this process, but as a part of that process, you're going to learn a lot and you're going to build your skill sets and grow from it. So again, take action. Don't overanalyze. Be hungry to get better at understanding what deals make sense and how to find a good deal. Okay. So next 50 minutes or so, we're going to just talk about commercial real estate brokerage as a tool for people to get started in commercial real estate. And so again, I know we have almost 50 people sign up for this session, and I appreciate you all's time. Again, I really do enjoy doing this, and my goal is to help get more people in the commercial real estate business, particularly more women and more minorities, because there's a need for greater diversity in the industry. Okay, so for me, how I got started in commercial real estate is I got started as a commercial real estate broker. When I first um, started in the business, I had very limited knowledge about commercial real estate. I could not even tell you how many square feet was in an acre. I couldn't tell you, what a cap rate was. I couldn't tell you what a particular zoning was and how that impacts the value of a property. It's okay. Like everyone starts from the beginning, and I literally started from the beginning, not knowing anything, and have been able to grow and build a business. Right. So I want to start with that, and then I want to just say that commercial real estate brokers are able to build relationships with everyone in the real estate process. And you're able to learn from other people's mistakes, and you're able to build relationships along the way. So let's dive in. Let's get it. Commercial real estate brokers represent buyers, they represent sellers, and they represent tenants and landlords, as well as developers as well, okay, and investors. Commercial real estate brokers negotiate leases and they negotiate contracts and that transactional process. And we also provide market analysis and investment advice across the board. Now, some real estate brokers, they specialize in a particular asset class. Some commercial real estate brokers, they only do office. or they only do retail, they only do multifamily, or they only do land, right? Like I found that the most successful commercial real estate brokers are ones that specialize in at least two areas. Don't limit yourself to one, okay? Because when you do that, you are uh, potentially boxing yourself in or limiting the income potential. And when you have shifts in the market, it could be detrimental to your business. So, as an example, real quick, when the pandemic had happened, there were a lot of commercial real estate brokers that only focused on office leasing or office sales, and the office market went into a complete free fall, right? And so, if you were only doing office over that time frame, I mean, you lost a lot of money, a lot of opportunity because there's no activity happening, very limited activity happening in the office market. So again, you want to specialize in at least two, maybe even three areas initially, but take it one property type at a time. For me, when I had first started in the commercial real estate business, I picked three, okay? And I picked um and this is of course this is before the pandemic. I picked office, I picked retail, and then I picked specialty properties like churches and schools and daycare centers because I knew that was a niche focus. And where I'm at in DC and the DMV, it's just a lot of those properties, right? So make sure that you specialize in 2 to 3 different areas of commercial real estate, and that's going to provide you with flexibility in your business. And that's the same thing as an investor too. Like diversify your portfolio. It can be very helpful in hedging your risk and minimizing um, being impacted when the market is going up and down. So brokerage versus investing, and what's the difference? So high level, let's just talk through it. Real estate brokers, we earn commissions. We get paid from executing leases, from selling properties, from representing buyers, and it's a percentage, right, of the sales price or of the total lease value that we're paid. That commission can range anywhere from, you know, 2 to 3% in some cases, all the way up to 10% or more. Every deal is different, and you negotiate your commission. I've done deals where I've gotten a 10% commission on multi-million-dollar deals. I've done, larger deals over $25 million where the commission may be only, 2% or 3%. But when you look at the numbers of those commissions and those sales prices, you can see how much money you can make and build generational wealth doing that. So again, brokers earn commissions, investors build equity through the acquisition of those assets. We as brokers, we need to have very strong sales skills and communication skills. Investors are purely focused on like asset management and financials. You do need to have good communication skills as an investor, but definitely as a investor, you gotta have good like financial analysis skills and also asset management skills. And you don't have to know everything. Like you can learn from a property manager. You may pay them 2 to 3% of the total rental income just to learn and make sure you have a professional that is helping to manage the asset. But again, like if you are, especially if you're not local to that property that you own, you got to have a property manager. So you don't want to have to deal with a property that is not managed, and it prevents a lot of headaches. So again, in my opinion, brokerage is a stepping stone to ownership. It's a stepping stone to investing. It's a stepping stone to development and other opportunities in the commercial real estate business. And so if you are looking to get started in commercial real estate and your goal is to buy commercial real estate, to develop commercial real estate, one of the good ways to get started is by becoming a commercial real estate broker. It's not the only way. You have real estate attorneys who've become investors and developers. You've had property managers who've done that. You've had just business owners and entrepreneurs as well who end up investing and developing commercial real estate as well. So keep that in mind. There's no cookie cutter approach to this process. Everybody's journey is different. So don't compare yourself to anybody. Run your own race and believe in yourself, and you're going to get there. Again, just these are the 5 steps to becoming a commercial real estate broker. Every state is different, so you have to look at the process of getting your license, real estate license. Those requirements are specific to each state. There are typically pre-licensing courses that you have to take to be able to get the like course hours needed to even qualify to take the state licensing exam. And so for me, when I had did it 10 years ago, I had took 2 weeks and I went to the pre-licensing courses from, I think it was like 8 in the morning to like 6 p.m. for like 2 weeks straight. But I knocked it out because I didn't want to have to wait a month and a half to get my pre-licensing course credits. So I just condensed it into 2 weeks. I studied, passed the pre-licensing course, and then once I got that under my belt, then the next step was to submit those course credits to the state, and then submit a application to prepare to take the license exam, which I did, and I ended up taking the exam and passed it, and then I ended up getting my real estate license. For me, transparency, I'm not the best test taker. I did have the blessing of graduating from Morehouse College and attending the University of Michigan for grad school. But I just wasn't the best test taker. I never have been. So I didn't pass my real estate license exam on the first try. It took me multiple times to get to where I needed to be. So don't feel bad if you have to take it more than once. And that's with any test, like, whether it's the real estate license, whether it's for to go to college or entry exam or to go to grad school or law school. Like, don't feel discouraged if you have to like start all over again. Okay, and so there are resources online to help people to pass the exam and prepare. So again, if you look up like pre-licensing, of course, it's in a particular state that you're located, and then also like test prep websites and sample tests on YouTube. There are a bunch of resources that are out there. There are even mentors that help people like prepare for those exams. So check that out. So once you get your real estate license, you gotta make a decision, and that decision is like, okay, what kind of real estate do I want to sell? Do I want to sell residential and commercial? Do I want to sell just residential, or do I want to sell commercial? I would say, for me personally, I knew that I was going right into commercial real estate, but I would say, if you could do residential real estate and commercial real estate, it's a great opportunity because when you're first starting in commercial real estate, transactions can sometimes take 3 months, 6 months, a year before they close. If you're doing residential real estate, and then coupling that with commercial real estate, you have a business model where you're able to bring in more revenue from the sales of your residential properties because those transactions are going to happen. Those transactions are going to happen more frequently, and the time needed to close those transactions is much shorter. So, as an example, for a commercial real estate sale, that process could take anywhere from 40, the minimum 45 days, but really it's probably 60 days to 90 days. For a residential sales transaction, it could be a few weeks. It could be a week. It could be a few weeks, right? So make sure that if you are already a residential real estate agent, or if you are considering getting your real estate license, consider what works best for you. If it's residential and commercial, if it's only residential to start off, and then you transition into commercial, or if it's just commercial real estate. Choosing a brokerage firm is very important, and that kind of speaks to what I was just talking about. Making sure you choose a firm that is going to give you the professional development and tools needed for you to grow and thrive in the business. And so, join a firm that has a broker and agents that are doing the type of transactions you want to do in the markets where you want to do them. Make sure that they are providing you with a deep understanding in terms of how their brokerage works, how do they make money, what are the fee splits, and we'll get into that a little later in terms of when you sell a property, how much do you get in terms of the commission, how much do they get, what are the splits, what are the benefits of being with that brokerage, what are the professional development opportunities, what technology and resources do they provide to you. Like it's a lot of things that go into making a decision of like what brokerage to join. And it's not just like joining a brokerage that, has the most signs in the neighborhood or is popping the most on Instagram. Like it's really about finding brokers where it's a good fit for you, and they share your values and your principles. And there certain people work better with larger companies, and some people work better with smaller companies. Like for me, I've enjoyed being at my firm and having a small office, like, only having 40, 50 people in the company, like, as opposed to hundreds of agents or, thousands of people, right? Like, so it is a benefit to that, as well as the independent versus the national brokerages. So do your research. From my opinion, I found that the the brokerages that you want to consider are the ones that are actively doing deals in the market. So make a list of the firms that are actively doing deals and then reach out to them, leverage your network to get in front of them as well. So you have to develop market knowledge as one of the key steps to becoming a commercial real estate broker. So again, we talked about this earlier last hour, like looking at market reports, looking at all the commercial properties in a particular neighborhood or area, understanding who the owners are, who are the tenants, how do those properties operate, how do they make money, what is the value of those properties, and that can be done through looking at recent sales. You will also look at recent leases that have been executed, and just understanding like what your options are as it relates to an investor. Like, is this a market that is more beneficial for multifamily owners? Is it more beneficial for industrial, office, medical, et cetera? What are the features of this market that makes it attractive? What is the current environment? And then what is the projected environment to be moving forward in the future? So you look at, population trends, you look at demographics, you look at like what's coming to an area, what are the demand drivers there? Like what's the investment that's taking place in that community from the federal level, the state level, and the local level? It's a lot of research you got to do to really make a informed decision in terms of what areas do you want to focus in on, both as an investor and as a broker as well. We talked about the importance of building relationships with property owners and investors. On the brokerage side, I have just a rule of thumb. When you first start, you need to make a list of 1,000 owners, and that could be real estate owners, and that could be business owners. It could be investors. Make a list of 1,000 of them. Okay, and that may take some time to do it, but how you would do that is literally, like we talked about last hour, go onto LoopNet, go onto CoStar, sign up for an account on a free account on Craigslist or Showcase. Look up the people who are selling these properties. Look up the owner's information on the public tax record database for the city or county and the state, and just make a list. You can also buy a list. There are other platforms like Sales Genie that has a list of all the businesses in a particular area, or even Prospect Now. And again, that is a website that can connect you with property owners, give you the phone numbers and mailing addresses. So again, building relationships with the owners, and typically as a commercial real estate broker, when you're first starting, you like I remember feeling like, man, who the hell is gonna let me sell their property? And I haven't sold one yet. Like, who's gonna give me the opportunity to do that, right? Like, So I had to be very thoughtful and just very mindful of like, it's really important to have a mentor at the brokerage that you affiliate with that has experience doing commercial real estate. So I would not recommend you join only a residential real estate brokerage that doesn't have someone in the brokerage that has experience closing commercial transactions. That's going to be very important if you're looking to do both. And make sure that you are learning in your first few transactions. Bring in a mentor, have them guide you along the process so you can learn and grow and build your confidence. So then, after a couple of deals of you learning and working alongside the mentor, then you can start doing deals on your own. Like for me personally, the first 6 months to a year, like of me being in the business, I was making sure that I was involving my mentor and like other senior brokers in my firm and working with different brokers in the firm to learn how they approach different issues, how they handle situations, how they run their business, how do they provide tours, how do they handle marketing, how they do business development. Everybody's different, and you gotta take different perspectives and experiences and then make it your own. So again, build relationships. It's pretty straightforward. And then find a specialization again, 2 to 3 areas. So whether that's multifamily, retail, industrial, office, land, specialty properties, like just make sure you have at least 2 specialization areas that you're focused in. So that way you can build a really strong pipeline in the business. When you're investing in commercial real estate, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. When you sell in commercial real estate, you don't want to put all your energy into just office or just retail or just multifamily, because if one of those market shifts, you want to have some balance and be able to grow and scale your business. So just for a minute, we just want to talk about skills that are very important in the commercial real estate business. Again, we talked about sales and negotiation skills. We talked about financial and market analysis skills, the ability to network, the ability to build relationships, the ability to be able to understand marketing and lead generation is very important as well. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like I wasn't strong in all of these areas when I first started. In some cases, I had to read books around sales and negotiations. I had to read books and take classes on financial underwriting and market analysis. I had to get out my comfort zone of, hey, I really don't feel like going to these networking events every week, but I got to do it to put my business out there and to build relationships. So again, the skills are very important. I just find that if you like really focus on your strengths and your weaknesses and then pour your energy into just getting better every day, like just 1% better every day, if you do that, you're going to be good. And eventually you're going to be very successful in this business. So again, this is something to keep in mind. Take a look at where you are and where you want to be, and then surround yourself with people who are where you want to be. So again, I think early on when you're first starting out, the question in your mind is like, one, how the hell am I going to find someone to get me to sell their property? And how do you find clients, right? Like, and so I didn't have anybody in my phone book that I knew that owned real estate, commercial real estate. So I had to go out and build relationships and like, you know, put myself out there. So here are some of the strategies to find clients. You can cold call, you can send letters, you can use social media, you can use LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever social media platform you use. You can build relationships with business owners, investors, and property owners and developers. You can, oftentimes, I think, for most folks getting started in commercial real estate, one of the easiest ways to find clients and to start building your business is like focus on doing leasing as a part of your business along with sales. Don't just feel like you only want to sell the multi-million-dollar properties. Like you could do that. It's going to take you maybe a little longer to um, like close those transactions as opposed to doing a combination of leasing and sales. And so leasing, when you're leasing, an office building or a retail shopping center or industrial warehouse or multifamily apartment building, you're going to do more transactions more quickly. And in addition to that, you're building relationships with those business owners and or those individuals. So when you have the opportunity to represent tenants, let's say it's a, a hair salon, right? And they're looking at opening a location. You can go out with that tenant, help them find spaces, help them understand the market, do some market research for them, put together recommendations regarding what properties they may be interested in. And from my opinion, there are more opportunities to represent tenants in a market as opposed to owners when you're first getting started. So make a list of all your friends like who own businesses or that want to start a business. Like everyone has a social media account for the most part. Go through your friends list, like go through your followers list and following list, and connect with the people who are business owners and have expressed an interest in owning and investing in real estate. That's going to be super helpful. Getting involved in industry events is very important as well. Again, commercial real estate groups in your local community, real estate investor groups in your city where you live. Also, there are national and regional commercial real estate associations like the Urban Land Institute, like NAIOP, which is the National Association of Industrial and Office Properties. You also have the like Chamber of Commerce's, which are essentially like associations of business owners and organizations in a particular area. So again, I mean, it's all about being in the room with the type of clients and business people that you want to represent and interact with. That's very important. For me, I wanted to have a good balance of getting in front of property owners and then getting in front of business people too. So if I could build a pipeline of potential sellers of commercial real estate as well as investors or buyers of commercial real estate, coupled with building relationships with tenants and business owners that are going to be looking to lease space. Most landlords, most landlords, sophisticated landlords, if you haven't had any experience in the business, more than likely it's going to be very difficult for you to get a shopping center or a big office building where you represent the landlord and you handle all the leasing on behalf of the landlord. For me, when I first started, those opportunities were very limited because I didn't have the experience. So how I had to build my experience is knowing exactly what I just said, representing sellers, representing tenants, partnering with other senior brokers in my office who maybe had landlords that they represented, and I was an associate helping them manage the assets. So again, this is a long-term business, but every year you're going to get better and better, and you're going to grow, and you're going to build your business. So as a part of a mentorship program, I offer business planning, I offer strategic planning. One of the first things that we'll do is we'll go through where you are currently in your business and then look at where you want to be. We'll also look at your monthly and quarterly and annual goals, both from a professional development perspective, but also from a financial perspective as well, right? And make sure that I'm your accountability partner. I'm, holding you accountable and guiding you through the process. For me, my mentor did that for me, and it made a world of difference for me because it made me feel like I wasn't blindly walking through this journey, but I had a plan, I had a roadmap, and I had the confidence to be able to execute that plan, right? So again, it's really important to have a mentor. It's also important to partner with residential real estate agents when you're first starting in commercial real estate, particularly for referrals. And so when I was growing my business initially, I wanted to make sure that if they're residential real estate agents in my network that are interacting with people who may want to lease a restaurant, they may want to open an auto body shop, they may want to open a flower shop, like making sure that if they didn't have the ability to handle those clients' needs, they will refer those clients to me. And then I would do the same for any clients that I'm representing that are looking to buy a house, sell a house, et cetera. So partnering with residential agents for referrals is a great way to grow your business. So we'll just take a few minutes here because I'm gonna leave the last. We're gonna close at 1 o'clock. I'm gonna leave the last 15 minutes for questions. So I'm just gonna move through some of these final topics and then provide an opportunity for questions and answers. Again, for everyone who has joined and signed up, I will send out the recording for the session. Also, we'll send a link to the website for the mentorship program as well as a link to a Calendly schedule that will provide my availability for one-on-one calls, so I can interact with each one of you personally, get to know you, understand what your goals and objectives are. Why do you want to go into commercial real estate? Why are you in the business for those who are already in it? How can I help you be successful? What are the things that you are looking to achieve this year and beyond? And let's create a plan and let's execute that plan and make some money and help a lot of people. So the sales process from lead to close is as following, and this is just very high level. The lead generation, finding out who is the point of contact, whether it's an owner, whether it's the head of a business, whether it's a head of an organization, who is the decision maker? How do I get in front of that decision maker? Is it calling? Is it email? Is it social media? Is it referral based? Is it like literally door knocking and going to their business or the residents to get in front of them? What does that look like? So prospecting and outreach is very important to do and get good at. We have a lot of tools and resources around like prospecting and business development that helped me to grow my portfolio from 5 commercial properties in the first year to within 3 years, I had over 70 properties that I was either selling as the broker or I was representing the landlord on over 70. And that doesn't include like tenant representing tenants. That didn't include representing buyers. If it was all together, I probably had over 100 transactions that I was working on. And at that point, I realized, okay, I need to scale this business. I need to be very thoughtful about like capacity and making sure I'm not saying yes to every deal. I'm gonna take 10 seconds to say this. It's not the deals that you do that are the best deals, it's the deals that you don't do. It's okay to tell people no. It's okay to turn down listings. It's okay to not deal with to not agree to sell properties where the owners believe their values are significantly higher than what they really are. You have to be able to understand that there are going to be a lot of opportunities available to you. It's okay to tell people no and to be very selective in terms of what you do work on. Because in this real estate business, whether it's residential or commercial, you really don't know how much time and energy you have to put into a deal until you get in the deal. So just be very thoughtful about that. So we just talked about prospecting and outreach. Secondly, which is very important, is qualifying your clients. That is very important. Make sure that if you represent a seller, you represent a buyer, that they have the ability to be able to close. They have the ability to get pre-approved. They have the ability to raise capital. And from my opinion, it's really important to help them through the process. So if you know lenders, if you know bankers, if you know um, mortgage brokers, leverage all those relationships. Really think about the people that you need to connect your clients with that can help them get to where they want to be. So again, if they're not pre-approved yet, that's fine. But connect them with a lender, connect them with a mortgage broker, help them understand all the documents that they need to be able to submit to a lender, help them understand the process needed to get financing. All those things are just very important. This is very important. Educating and informing the client. And in some cases, the client they're going to be clients. In some cases, guys, they're going to be clients that are not, they're just not ready yet. And they're not going to be ready for another 6 months. They might not be ready for another year. And that's okay. Work with them, help them grow, build them up. Because when they are ready, they'll remember all the work that you did to help them and preparing them. So that's very important. So again, qualifying the client is very important. Next, property tours and analysis. So if you haven't gotten trained on how to properly conduct a property tour, and that's whether for residential or commercial, that's one of the great things that we do as a part of our program, teaching you how do you conduct a property tour, how do you present yourself well, how do you communicate, how do you put together a marketing package, how do you create a pitch deck, how do you go through the process of doing the photography and videography and the messaging around the property. How do you tell the story? That is very important. And then in addition to that, the valuation aspect. This is one of my favorite things to do. Teaching people how to do like valuations and analysis. So we do a lot of property valuations. We look at how do you value development sites? How do you value warehouse buildings, office buildings, retail shopping centers, churches, schools, daycares, hotels? I've done every valuation you could think of. The only one I haven't done yet is a is a data center, and I haven't done a valuation on like a mine, something like that. But everything else pretty much I've done. So understanding because when that phone rings, when people call you and they say, "Hey, I want to sell my daycare center. I want to sell my restaurant." You need to understand what that looks like, and you need to understand how to value those different properties. So every week we go through the process of doing valuations and just making sure you understand a deal analysis. So that's very important. And the last two are just understanding the negotiation process as a commercial real estate broker. That from my experience, like you can read books and you can watch YouTube videos and you can take classes, but you are not going to become a better negotiator until you do more deals. And every deal that you do and every transaction that you close, you're going to take little lessons from each one of those and you're going to learn from it. I tell myself every time, like for those who know me, they know that I'm very humble and just down to earth. And I try to stay that way and stay grounded as I achieve more success in the business and make more money because I've seen people in the real estate business and just business in general, they feel like, oh, if I sell these many properties or make this much money, I've made it. And I don't need, nobody can tell me anything. No, you always have to have the mindset that there's room for improvement. And if you have that mindset across not only your professional life, but your personal life, you're going to experience tremendous growth and you're going to get better every day, every week, every month, every year. So that is the mindset you have to have. In negotiations, you're not going to get better at negotiating until you negotiate and you learn from other people's negotiations. So again, and I learned a lot from the real estate attorneys that I worked with. They taught me a lot just from understanding how they look at risk, how they look at roles and responsibilities, how they look at deal structuring. So again, you don't have to know everything to be successful in this business, but you need to be able to know that there's always room for improvement. And then finally, from negotiating the contract to executing the contract to helping through the entire like transaction. So helping with the title, connecting with the title company, helping connect the buyer and or seller with any contractors or consultants that are needed, connecting them with lenders, attorneys, helping them through the process of their due diligence, getting a property condition report, getting an appraisal, getting an environmental study. All of those things are very important. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to share with the folks who signed up with me. I have all your contact information. For those who are on Instagram, you're going to sign up. Just feel free to send me a message with your email address so I can add you to the email that I'll send out that'll have templates, checklists, all that information. So as you're working through the transaction, you're doing all of this effort to bring the transaction to closing. It's important to understand that there are things that will come up, and you have to solve problems. We are in the business of solving problems. We're not in the business of selling real estate. We're in the business of solving problems. Sometimes those problems don't involve the real estate. They can involve just business problems, operational problems, legal problems, communication problems, like marketing problems. So it's really important to just look at every deal and just look at it from the perspective that you want to be a problem solver and you want to help people achieve their goals and objectives. So again, when you go through that process, things are going to come up, but just remain positive, remain optimistic. If you don't have the answers, try to find someone who can help and assist in getting those answers and the solutions to those problems. Once you get to the point where the deal is moving forward and due diligence has been conducted, if they're buying the property, getting financing has been committed, title reports come back good, environmentals come back good, the property is appraised, the property condition report has come back and it looks good, or there's some things that maybe need to be addressed, but you all are willing to, your client is willing to fix those things, or the seller is willing to provide a credit. The next step in that process is getting ready for closing, and that involves working with the settlement company, reviewing the draft settlement statements, having calls with the buyer and or seller, meeting with the title company, making sure that all the information that's needed for closing is documented and that you're assisting in that process. And then ultimately, you get the closing agent's going to do what they need to do to facilitate the transaction and bring all the parties together so that you have a successful transaction with the buyer and the seller. So again, it's a lot that goes into a deal. I think oftentimes people kind of see the end when you post on social media that you sold a $500,000 home, or you sold $1 million office building, or a $10 million shopping center. Like, they see the end, but they don't see all the work that goes into it. Fall in love with the process. Don't fall in love with the end result. You'll be very successful. So a final, these last 2 minutes, and then we're gonna open up for questions. A couple things. Commission structures in commercial real estate vary. And again, I think there was a question related to like on commissions for sales versus commissions um, of leasing. Okay, and when you're looking at commissions for leasing, that commission structure is a little different. Typically, that commission structure is typically that commission structure is you're paid a percentage of the total gross value of the lease. And so if it's a 5-year lease and the annual value of the lease is 100,000 a year, 100,000 times five will be $500,000. And let's assume that the total commission is 3% paid to the agent representing the tenant, which will be, in this case, will be you. So 3% of $500,000 is $15,000. And that commission can be paid, it depends on the listing agreement. It can be paid 100% at lease signing. It could be paid 50% at lease signing, and then 50% when they move in, or it could be paid over a period of time, a certain milestone. So maybe it's every year you get a portion of that check, but the rate is higher. It varies, okay? So that's an example for leasing commissions. For sales commissions, it's typically just the commission. So whether that's, you know, uh, 3% or 6% or 10% of the total sales price, and then you're paid that your brokerages pay that amount. So now we're going to talk about the splits. Obviously, with splits in brokerage firms, it varies. Again, it could be 70-30, it could be 80-20, it could be 100%, it could be 50-50, but the devil's in the details. And, for me, um, when I had first started, I wanted to be with a firm that had all of the resources I needed to be successful. So I didn't have to pay for CoStar. I don't have to pay for my marketing. I have a legal team. I have a marketing team backing me. I have a research team. Like all of those things made it easier for me to agree to a split with brokers because they're helping me build my business and covering a lot of the operational costs. So again, I think honestly a good sweet spot on the splits is really when you first starting out, especially with a bigger firm, it might be 50-50 until you build your experience. But eventually you should a minimum be at 70-30. And if you get to 80-20, 90-10, and then 100%, that's the goal. Okay. But sometimes it's staggered depending on what firm you're at. It's based on how much revenue you're bringing into the company, how many deals you're closing. So it varies. And the last thing I'll say before we get ready to close and open up for final questions is like when I first started in the business, I was given a piece of advice I'm gonna give to you all for leasing transactions. I would take my leasing commissions in certain deals over the term of the lease. So if I did a 10-year lease with an office in it, as opposed to getting 3% upfront of that lease value, I would say, look, with that owner, I want to get 4%, and I want to get paid every month from the rent that you get from that tenant. And so literally every month for the next 10 years, I'm gonna get a check in the mail from a leasing commission from this deal. And I did that for about 25 leases over the first several years of my career. And so it got to the point where every month that a tenant was paying rent, I was getting a percentage of the rent because I was the broker of all the transaction and I had agreed to that particular commission structure. So when we talk about residual income from leasing deals, that's what we're talking about. And then we're also talking about making sure that in the event that a tenant renews their lease, you are paid on the renewal. So you put a tenant in a space, they lease it for 5 years, and then they say, hey, I'm going to stay for another 5 years. You should be compensated for that additional 5 years. So it's important to have a CRM system. It's important to document your transactions, your clients, lease expiration dates of deals that you worked on, and making sure that you have all of the information you need. Now, in the event that they stop paying the rent, that is it's a you're sharing in the risk with the landlord. And in that event, it may be language where you are paid a lump sum of the remaining balance from that owner, or it could be a combination of that, and then also the potential loss of some of the commission. But that is when you're taking a shared risk with the owner, that is sometimes those things do happen. And the last thing I'll say before we get ready to open up for question and answer is like I did the same thing with sales commissions too, like taking the commissions that I would get from selling a property. So whether it's 25,000 from a sale, or 50,000, or 100,000, or 200,000, and then taking that money and then investing it in properties that I personally wanted to buy, or entering into a partnership with the owner of that property and saying, look, I'll take my commission and I want to be a limited partner or part owner of this asset with you. Are you open to that? So there's a lot of ways to create passive income through brokerage, and I found that that's very important. So finally, first year income projections is again, most deals are going to take, you know, 3 months at a minimum. It on average though, it's 6 to 12 months. So you want to build a strong pipeline. But if you're making 30, 40, $50,000 off each deal, or even 100,000 or more of each deal, like you can have a good year. Like after you pay all your taxes and your expenses, like you can have a good year. So it's important to build that pipeline and understand where you want to be. Also, be very thoughtful about how much money you need to live on and how much money you need for your savings. I personally would recommend that you have an emergency fund of at least 6 to 12 months before you start in doing commercial real estate full time, because they're going to be unforeseen circumstances where you think a deal is going to close in January and it may not close until April, right? Because of delays and things that come up. So really think about your expenses and then have a 6 to 12 month reserve so that you can protect yourself and have stability in the event of a uncertain market. And then implement all the strategies that I talked about today in terms of scaling your brokerage business, building relationships, having referral networks, building your client list, going out and meeting new investors, seeking out deals, and you're gonna be super successful. Okay, so with that, guys, it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing this, and I'm just appreciative of over like 50 people who joined today and tapped in. I want to be respectful of everyone's time because it is Saturday. I know you guys got a lot to do, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take a few questions and then I'm gonna close up for today. Again, for those who signed up, you will get an email. It probably will be sometime tomorrow with a link for the recording of this session. For those who are on Instagram, you can view it on my page. But you're going to get links to the resources that I talked about. There are going to be some attachments with some of the checklist information as well as a link to sign up for our one-on-one calls. And so I'm going to update my schedule. You'll be able to sign up for calls with me over the next 2 weeks, right? And it's a 15-minute intro call. And I would love to talk to you more about your goals and objectives and then to talk more about the mentorship program that we have in our network. So, again, for those who are interested in commercial real estate investing, we have a separate program, mentorship program for that aspect. If you're interested in commercial real estate brokerage, we have a separate program for that. If you're interested in both, we customize the program to your particular needs. And so, if you are interested in either one of those options, just let me know. On the website right now, we have a lot of information. We have is for the commercial real estate investing platform, and I will update that and share the information for those who are interested in commercial real estate brokerage. But again, whatever you're interested in, whether it's becoming an investor or brokerage, we do it and we enjoy it. And the great good thing about it is that we like to meet every week. If you can't do every week, we do every other week. And if you can't do that, we do it every month. But being your accountability partner is really important. So again, the first hour we talked about how do you become a real estate investor. The second hour here we talked about how you become a real estate broker in this commercial real estate industry. And so I'm going to, as a part of the follow up from this, I'll send out some action items for you all to consider as investors and brokers. I will include some recommended readings and resources for you all, as well as the information for our mentorship program and how we can stay connected. So I'm very thankful. Thank you guys for joining. We're going to just take a couple questions and then we'll wrap up. We're gonna wrap up for today. But you guys are amazing. I think everyone has a bright future here. I started with nothing and just not knowing anything, and God has just been so good to me to learn and grow. And I'm just so thankful to be able to help you guys in being successful as well. It's a lot of money to be made, so we all can make money and be successful. It's not, it's not just for a few. It's for all of us. So let's do it together. And so let's take a few questions. So, okay, very good. Thank you all so much for joining. Yes, thank you. Um, Again, so one of the questions was, how do you market yourself with leasing, especially with utilizing social media? like bring yourself around wanting to work with entrepreneurs and business owners. Think about all the followers that you have on your social media and do a customized social media post around, hey, like tag your favorite business owner in Washington D.C. or tag the business that you want to see come to this community. Or hey, I want to work with 25 entrepreneurs this year. Tag your favorite entrepreneur. Like those are ways that you can market yourself with leasing, with social media, and then obviously like once you get listings, like promote those listings on your social media. Make sure that you are being thought very like intentional about um, what is the value adds to a business owner or organization for being a tenant in the building? How do you communicate that? All those things are very important. But again, those are some of the tips that I would recommend when you're looking to market yourself and starting with tenant rep. So another question is, I want to purchase properties and rent them out. My question is, how do you go about determining the rent? I would like to do a triple net lease. Again, you want to look at the rent comparables in that area. So when I say in that area, a 1 mile radius to a 3 mile radius in that area, how much are similar properties renting for? What are the lease terms? How long do those units take to get leased? How much money is it going to take me to be able to put this to renovate the space and get it ready for occupancy? Like understanding those things is really important. I found that if you can be um, informed about the market and just understand what the market is, you're going to be very successful. So again, looking at lease comps, looking at market reports, talking to other owners, talking to other investors and brokers as well, so they can give you the proper information, and then you'll grow and you're going to be very successful in this business. So let's take one more question here. So again, folks ask me, do I have guides? That I provide. So I have a free ebook link that's going to be included with the notes and everything. That is a high level guide of how to get started in commercial real estate, and then also, um, I'll include templates and links to other resources as well that people can use to get started. But again, it's a lot of information. Don't feel like you gotta digest it all at once. It does take time, but I will make that information available to everyone. So with that, guys, it's been a lot of fun. It's now a little past 1 o'clock, and I'm just so appreciative of you all's time. I hope you all learned something today. If you all could just do me a favor. If you don't follow my page on Instagram, please follow me at Marcus and Daniels. And then also we have a YouTube channel. It's Commercial Real Estate with Marcus Daniels. Feel free to like and subscribe to that YouTube channel where I have a bunch of free videos. And I'll be posting this video from this session. And again, if you're interested in commercial real estate mentorship, feel free to message me on Instagram or feel free to reach out to me via email at marcusnddaniels@gmail.com to learn how to get started in our commercial real estate investing and brokerage mentorship program. And I'd love to connect with you guys. So again, thank you all so much. I look forward to connecting with you guys in the coming days and coming weeks. And this is just the beginning, guys. So I look forward to the questions that will come up in our one-on-one calls. And I'm just very appreciative. So again, thank you all so much. And we'll be in touch. Thank you.